Hello. I figured it would be about time for another card flip through, artwork flip through video. Very similar to the way in which I did it recently with me opening a single booster, and similar to how I've done this with certain decks and certain cards in the past. So we'll go through the cards I've got here. There's just 15. 15 is a nice number for me for this. So we'll just go through zoomed out so you can see the full card like this, and then we'll zoom in, look at the artwork. We've got 2 cycles, and then so 2 cycles of 5, and then a group of 5 cards where thematically, mechanically, what they do is very similar but at different costs. Obviously, as you'll notice, we go through these. There's cards that do a similar things a lot better, particularly in a format like EDH, but these are still cards that bring a smile to my face, and they do what they do in interesting ways, I think, to some degree or the other, some more interesting than others. So first up, we've got this cycle of border posts. So these were coloured artifacts, and you paid 1 mana of any colour and then the corresponding allied colours that they tap for. So this one is the Field Mist one, which is white blue. Or what you can do is you can choose to pay 1 mana of any colour and then return a basic land you control to its owner's hand, rather than pay Field Mist border post mana cost. It also comes into play tapped, but when you untap it, it taps for white or blue mana pool. And there are a cycle of 5 of these. They're allied. We've got Mist Vein, which is the blue-black one, but essentially does the same thing, but in blue-black. Vanefire border post, which is the black-red one. Firewild border post, which is the red-green one. And then Wild Field border post, which is the green-white one. So next up, another cycle of mana rocks, but these ones are mana of any colour to cast, and as we're with the border post, there's cards that do similar things but cheaper. And these are the cameos. So there's 5 of these, allied colours again. There's the Seashell cameo, so 3 mana of any colour to cast, and you tap it for white or blue mana. Notice it doesn't come into play tapped. And also there's no alternative cost shenanigans on this. And we've got Drake's Skull cameo, which is the blue-black one. Bloodstone cameo, which is black-red. Trollhorn cameo, which is red-green. And then Tiger Eye cameo. Again, 3 mana of any colour. And then this one taps for green or white. So the next 5, you'll see, all have a similar theme, but for different costs and different, slightly different types as well, where the cost might be very similar. So we've got a 2-drop here, Cold Steel Heart. So when it comes into play, tapped, and you have to choose a colour. And once it untaps and you get to tap it, add 1 mana of the chosen colour to your mana pool. So 2 mana of any colour to cast that. Then we've got Soul Grail, which is a 3-drop version. So this one, you choose a colour when it comes into play, and again add 1 mana of any of the chosen colour to your mana pool. And there's a reminder with this earlier card, play this ability as an interrupt, back when interrupts were a term, which was a slightly different, was it even faster than an instant? I think that was the idea. So you'll often see sort of early Magic cards have the term interrupt on them, which you don't see later. But with this one, of course, it doesn't come into play tapped, but it costs more. Then we've got Opaline Unicorn. So this is also a 3-drop. Adds 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool, and you get a 1/2. Then 4-drop Colney Gem. So when this enters the battlefield, you return 2 lands you control to their owner's hands, but once it untaps and you can start to use it, you add 2 mana of any one colour. So you have 2 mana of any one colour to your mana pool. And then the 5-drop, I found a meteorite here. So yeah, with this, when it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. And you can also tap it to add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. So there we go, some interesting cards there. So let's just realign these and zoom in nicely and see how close we can get. And start to really get a close look at that artwork. Some of these obviously a lot more going on beyond the main object. How close do I dare go in? That's the question. I think, yeah, let's do it around there, shall we? Any closer and it might get a little blurry. So again, we've got our field mist border post. Some interesting structures there in the background. There's the mist vein. Different angle there as well, looking at it. You don't really see much of the surrounding panorama, if you like, whatever it's on, any surrounding fields or anything like that. It's sort of looking up from the base more. Vein fire border post. That's pretty cool. I imagine some of these, I don't think I ever pulled them. I'd have to go through my it's quite possible in previous videos when I was going through in this period in Magic, I have sort of covered these cards, and I may have pulled some foils that I might have covered, but it'd be interesting to see a set of these in foil. Fireworld border post. That one out of all of them, for whatever reason, and possibly the design on the stone, makes me think most about the designs on some of the signets, actually. That's the what was used in original Ravnica, and I think it's the signets, and also when it was reprinted later on, they had slightly different artwork. And then this one, the green white one, the wild field border post. onto these cameos. I can't even remember how I discovered these actually. I think it was probably on a list of... I remember when I first became aware of Commander, back I suppose when it was still called EDH, you'd see these lists of mana rocks where they'd sort of, go through the curve and try and sort of differentiate between what were more powerful, where you're getting more, you were getting the mana out quicker, and you generally went through the whole curve, regardless of whether, they indicate which ones were better than others. Strictly better, strictly worse, those sort of things. But the nice thing was, at that time, they went through everything, I think. So it was just nice to just see what was out there, even though, clearly some are more powerful than others, are strictly better than others. It's still nice, I think, to, track these cards down, particularly if, like me, and I know several of the viewers, you're sort of a bit more interested in the artwork, or just, you're just into that particular cycle, or you're just, have nostalgic memories of the set that they belong to, because obviously, the reason why these are, say, worse than other comparable ones is for the set they were in. They made a bit more sense power wise. And it's always nice to look at these mana rocks which have the potential to generate all the manas of magic, all the colours of mana, sorry. The colours of mana. But also to see, how does the cost relate to what it does. I'm trying to remember how I stumbled across Soul Grail. I think I was doing a fairly extensive look at cards from I suppose, modern blocks. I'd seen that original article, which a lot of people cite as a sort of precursor to Commander, that turned up in an early Magic the Gathering magazine. And I was sort of looking at the cards that fell into the categories, and getting certain interesting cards. And I think that's how I ended up with that. On subsequent weeks, I'll probably end up looking at another sort of favourite style of mana rock of mine, which is, the filter rock, where it takes it from one colour, turns it into another. And several of those, I think there's functional reprints, but also, I think at least one of them, there's some alternate artwork that you see. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what turns up when I go through this little box I have of several interesting cards that I put by. When I was doing all that sort of investigation into early Magic the Gathering multiplayer, and there's certain cards that ended up in there, or it became a sort of area where I put interesting multiplayer cards, let's say after I'd opened the Deck Builders Toolkits, or when I did the series, the original series, I think, of Commander Fodder, or where I did that comparing and contrast different products in terms of their applicability to multiplayer and Commander. So it's going to be fun, I think, to go through these. There's a lot of cards in there, so I'm looking forward to doing this. Plus I've got a separate binder with all the different things like Titans in it, and a few other sort of major cards in certain colours from toolkits that I put together for various reasons related to multiplayer, and also some commanders as well, which I'll have to look through previous videos, make sure I'm not going to accidentally double up anything. Although again, it's fun to go through. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and I look forward to doing another one at some point in the future. Thanks for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future video.